everyone, it's Jo at AGTV for Life. Welcome to my channel. I'm glad you tuned into this video because you are going to get all the information you need to restring your doll's limbs. This is a super easy tutorial. I'm going to move pretty quickly through it. I'm sure this video is not going to be longer than 10 minutes. So if you have 10 minutes to spare and you want to learn how to restring your doll, stay tuned. And by the way, I sell the restringing kits in my Etsy shop, and my Etsy shop's name is Your Dolly Superstore. Let's talk about what you're going to need. And I know you've already been looking at this picture for all of, I don't know, a minute now. But anyway, you need a small pair of pliers. You need a crimper, or sometimes it's called a wire stripper, something that looks like this little lobster claw, and a pair of scissors. And that's pretty much it. You don't need that many supplies for this project. Okay, let's move on to step one. The first thing you want to do is put a pot on the stove with some water and boil it, because you're going to need to put the limb, whatever limb you're tightening, in the pot of water to loosen up the vinyl to get the cup out. And we'll talk more about that, but let's just get that pot of water going. Step two, remove your doll's head. And typically there's string that you can untie, and if you don't have string holding the head on, you might have a zip tie, and if you want to get the doll's head off, you need to cut the zip tie. And if that's the case, you're going to need a string that you can replace the zip tie with, or you could replace it with another zip tie, whatever your preference is. So once you get the head off, you need to remove all of the stuffing that's inside the body cavity. And I would recommend that you get a Ziploc bag and just put it all in there. At this point, you want to locate the limb that you're looking to tighten. Or if you're doing all the limbs, then you're going to have to follow this process for all of the limbs. So I'm only focusing on one. So here is a picture of the limb that is going to be tightened. And you'll see the old elastic and the crimp sleeve. So once you've identified it, let's grab your handy dandy scissors and cut the elastic at the base of the tension cup, just like this. And once you cut it, it will detach, and you'll see there's a piece of elastic and a tension cup inside the limb. Don't worry about that. You're going to boil the limb with the tension cup and the piece of elastic inside of it, because that's the reason why we need to boil it, because you cannot get it out if that limb is not soft. And as you can see, the limb just easily comes apart from the body. And here it is. Maybe you have more than one, but we're just doing one. So here's this very dirty limb. And hopefully by now your pot of water is boiling rapidly. And if so, now you can shut the stove off. Or at least that's how I do it. I don't leave the stove on when I put the limb or limbs in the water, because the water is hot enough and it will soften the vinyl. You may be asking, how long do I leave the limb in the hot water? I've left mine in the hot water up to 10 minutes. Sometimes the vinyl is soft enough in 8 minutes, but it's totally up to you. Just keep checking it. Now, there's a couple of things I want to talk about before you stick the limb in the pot of water. And that's basically two different methods to make the vinyl soft. One method is to put the limb in a plastic Ziploc bag and inside the pot of water. And if you do it that way, the inside of the limb stays dry, and you're not going to have any additional downtime to allow it to dry before you put the doll back together. So you can do that. Or you can just put the limb in the pot of water, just like this, if you're going to allow it time to dry. So either way. While you're waiting for the vinyl to soften, Let's put together the piece that you're going to put inside the limb after you take the old piece out. So get your restringing kit, and what you're going to need is one piece of elastic and one crimp sleeve. Get the other tension cup that you already took off the doll from the other part of the arm and use that. Put the crimp sleeve over the top as you see in the picture, and get your crimper and clamp down on it super duper tight so it looks just like this. Now you're probably wondering, how will I know that the limb is soft enough to get the inside tension cup out? If you can bend it just like this and you could feel how squishy the limb is, then you're ready to grab your pliers and take the tension cup out. And this is what it will look like once you have it out. Now you need to work really quickly while the vinyl is still soft, and take the piece that you just put together and put it inside the limb just like this. Just push down on it hard and pop it in. And here it is, back inside the limb. Hold on to that elastic, because the last thing you want to happen is for that elastic to fall inside the limb. Now, at this point, let me mention, if you did not put the limb inside a plastic bag and the inside of that limb is dry, what you're going to need to do is let the inside of the limb dry. So what I would do is get a piece of blue painter's tape and tape the elastic to the side of the limb, and then just turn it upside down so that it can dry. You can just let it air dry. You can always put it near a dehumidifier if you happen to have one in your house. You can always put it outside if the weather's really warm. Just make sure that you go through that process of drying it, because you don't want to get mold or anything inside the limbs. So let's assume that you use the Ziploc method. And now we're going to take the limb with the elastic piece that's sticking out and feed it through the body cup and hold on to it. And now you want to feed the tension cup through the elastic just like this. And once you have the tension cup on, grab a crimp sleeve and then feed that through the elastic. Now the next step takes some finagling, and you're going to have to use both hands. Pull really tight on the elastic, really tight, and grab your crimper with your other hand and squeeze down on the crimper sleeve. And it will look like this. And now you're all done. You tightened one of your doll's limbs. And if you want to do more, you just have to repeat the process. One of my dolls, and if you haven't watched my channel and you haven't been introduced to this doll, her name is Reba. She's a very interesting doll. I did a YouTube video of her unboxing, and she came to me from my best friend. And I'll leave a link to this video at the end of this video if you want to watch it. But it's a really good unboxing. I think it's one of the most popular videos on my channel. And here's Reba. She's in my doll's craft room, and she is tightening Samantha's limbs here. She took her head off. She has her elastic and her pliers, and she's getting ready to fix her doll. She has a whole basket of project dolls over here. See? And they all need some work. But today she's working on Samantha. And I think so far she's doing a pretty good job. What do you think? Oh God, I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. My dolls need to be just like us, right? Well, I love creating scenes with my dolls, and if you've watched enough of my channel, you already know that. If you haven't, I sure hope you subscribe and watch more videos. I hope this video was helpful to you. And if you have any comments or questions, let me know in the comments below. I know that sounded quite redundant. And if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate that. Share it. Also, feel free to check out my Etsy shop. The name of my shop is Your Dolly Superstore. I'll include a link down below so you could go straight to my Etsy shop if you're interested. And good luck restringing your doll or dolls. Take care, and I'll be back again real soon with another video for you. Bye, everyone!